ZHAO, 我是 James ZHAO. However, before I go any further, I'd like to be honest with you guys. I'm not the greatest creative. I really don't enjoy being in front of the camera. And like most introverts, honestly, I'm dead scared of being under the spotlight. Oh, and I forgot. As a fitness KOL, it's also pretty awkward when your girlfriend has better six-pack abs than you do. 这是我女朋友. However, what I lack in ability, I try to make up for in relatability. Through my own ups and downs, my pitfalls and adversities, and ultimately, my journey and my experiences. Although I hope to share with you guys today some useful tips about being a public figure, I would like to start from where my story begins rather than where it ends. Everyone has a childhood, and so do I. More often than not, it begins with your parents. However, mine was a little bit different. 这两张照片就是我的大姨和我的大舅妈. Although I was born in Australia, where my parents settled over 33 years ago, Mum and Dad were first-generation migrants, which meant they spoke none of the language, they knew no one, and they also had very little. So naturally, they had to work their asses off just to survive. So I can imagine how tough it would have been for them to have to send me back to Tenjing at 45 days old. In Tenjing, my Zhuoma and my Dai were two major figures in defining my childhood. They had instilled in me a sense of confidence and also a mindset to approach anything with an open heart and also without fear. Some of my fondest memories were born in Tenjing, and also my identity was framed. Just as I decided to settle down, I moved back to Australia to reunite with three strangers. 这是三位陌生人. 这三位陌生人的话，就是我爸爸、我妈妈，还有我的哥哥. As they say, a child's first love is with their mother. However, in my case, I miss my Zhuoma and my Dai like crazy. My mother and father had split up not long after I was born, which left my father responsible for my brother, and then myself with my mother. Growing up with my mother in Queensland, I started training and playing sports from a very young age. Being in a small town, I was one of the only Asian kids. And also with little to no English, I found it hard to connect and was often bullied for being different. However, playing rugby gave me a great pathway to fit in and make friends, as well as other meaningful relationships, such as with my rugby coaches and also my sports teachers. Other than rugby, my friends and I had other commonalities too, like listening to music and playing computer games. To me, sports, music, and computer games are all very similar. They act as a language that can connect people without actually speaking. And they can also provide you with a getaway when you're having hard times. My mother, she was always a go-getter and a risk-taker. She started her own ironing company, in which after 6 months, she was able to pay off her first mortgage. Not bad for first 6 months being in Australia with no English at all, right? Although being a successful businesswoman meant that she was able to buy me whatever I wanted, it also meant that she had very little time to give me what I actually needed. Over the next few years, the distance between my mother and I had gotten a lot longer and continued to stretch. And even though we lived together, it felt like we were more roommates than actually mother and son. And after years of much conflict and the inability to communicate properly, on my 16th birthday, I was kicked out of home. After spending a week at my rugby teammate and good friend Elliot's house, I decided to fly back to Sydney to seek refuge with my father. However, after a little while, I'd also found out that my father didn't have a home for me either. It's tough to know that neither of your parents had a home for you. But now that I look back, I hope I can understand why. But I also hope that when they look back, they can understand why I was the way I was too. With nowhere to live and my final year of high school just around the corner, this was probably one of the most important years of my life. It turns out, however, when the Lord shuts the front door, He often leaves open a side window. When my coach Dan and his wife Roxanne found out about my situation, they had no hesitation in taking me in. He and his wife not only provided me with a home, but they provided me with a second chance at life. During my final year of school, they completely covered all my education fees, as well as my living expenses, allowing me to focus completely on my studies without any distractions. They were not only my saviors, but they were also my greatest teachers. They taught me how to drive, they were my cooking coaches, and they were also my relationship counselors. To be honest, I really didn't know that strangers without any blood ties could give me so much love. Their love, life perspectives, and also lessons opened up my world. Along with Dan and Roxanne, another crucial figure in my life was Ian Brown. From a young age, you were always present. You were the reason why I started rugby, and by driving me to and from all those years of training, I was able to stay in rugby. You were generous, kind, compassionate, patient, and caring. You were like a second father to me, and thank you for making me the person that I am today. As a coach and fitness KOL, I believe that our responsibility is not just to teach you guys the best way to get six-pack abs, but more so I believe that we need to show you guys that we are not perfect. I end today's talk with my favorite quote from Nelson Mandela. Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand, and it can create hope when there was only once to spare. Sport had changed my world. It allowed me to speak a common language that could be understood. It created hope during my despair. And now, I hope that I can inspire you guys the way that it inspired me. That's how sport changed my life. My name is James ZHAO, and thank you so much for watching.